first of all, you look at handsets. This is probably not only the most vibrant technology sector there is out in the globe, this is also one of the most competitive. Why in the world would Apple Computer want to jump into the handset market with so much competition and already so many players?
You know, one of the biggest motivations for working so hard for a few years to make a great product is you want one yourself. And we use all the handsets out there. And boy, is it frustrating. It's really frustrating. It's a category that needs to be reinvented, needs to be made more, not only more powerful, but much easier to use. And so we thought we could contribute something. And we don't mind the fact that there's other good companies making products out there. The fact is that there's a billion handsets that were sold in 2006. And so if we just got 1% market share, that's 10 million units. And we think what we've done is to reinvent the phone and completely change what your expectations are going to be for what you can carry in your pocket.
You mentioned in your keynote, you talked about the Mac, you talked about the iPod, and now there's this. What makes this such a product that would enjoy such lofty company? How important is this to Apple Computer, and why?
You know, time will tell. The Mac changed the whole computer industry. And it really made computers easy to use for the first time and brought graphics into the personal computer for the first time. The iPod changed the way we listen to music and changed the whole music industry. I think the iPhone may really change the whole phone industry and I think give us something that's vastly more powerful in terms of, you know, making phone calls and keeping all your contacts on it, having the best iPod we've ever made fully integrated into it, and having the internet in your pocket with a real browser and real email and you know, the best implementation of Google Maps on the planet. Having all this stuff in your pocket and yet having it be 10 times easier to use. I think this is where the world's going.
You mentioned during the speech as well, you kept coming back to it too. You kept showing the competitors. You kept showing Palm and RIM and Nokia and Motorola. What message are you sending not only to your immediate competitors, but to the entire industry? We're a financial network, obviously, so from an investor standpoint, I don't know if you've been seeing what your comments have been doing today, but, you know, research in motion is getting clobbered, and I would imagine the other smartphone manufacturers are also feeling an enormous amount of pressure because you have now officially entered the game.
Well, you know, we don't really think in those terms. We're a product company. We love great products. And so, you know, in order to explain what our product is, we have to contrast it to what's out there right now and what people use. So, you know, that's what we do.
And looking at this also, when you and I talked about the video iPod, when that finally, I'm sorry, the iPod that also does video, you were careful to correct me that last time. You said, you know, you had never manufactured so many of these things before, and we'll see how it goes. We don't know if video is going to be a killer app, but we'll see what happens.
Yes.
What's your underplaying statement today about downplaying the potential and opportunity for this device?
Well, to go back to our prior conversation, we can now say that video worked. It is a killer app. We've sold over 50 million TV show episodes, and in 4 months we've sold 1.3 million feature films off iTunes. So it's definitely working. As far as this goes, you know, this is the future, and it's not, you know, it's I wish we could sell it for $100 today. We can't. It's a little more expensive than that. But as we bring the costs down year over year and can appeal to more and more people, I don't see why everybody wouldn't want one of these.
Last question for you. Again, I mentioned we are a financial network, and you know the question is coming because you read the press just as much as I do about you and your stature here at Apple Computer. There is this ongoing stock options backdating controversy that you're dealing with. What message do you have for shareholders and investors and consumers and employees that this particular controversy is? What is going to happen in terms of your tenure at the company? How is it going to affect you? How do you reassure people that this is not going to taint you?
Well, you know, it's a little frustrating sometimes what the press is writing. A lot of these folks just have no idea what they're talking about, and it is frustrating to read it. But, you know, we did our own internal investigation, and then we actually got an independent investigator, a former federal prosecutor who's extremely highly regarded. And they looked at, Jesus, the better part of 1 million documents, and they took several months. And they came out with their report that said what it said, and one of the things it said was that no current management had any misconduct. We did find some things that I wish we hadn't found, and that I as CEO, to some extent, am responsible for. But we've turned that all over to the SEC, and they'll take a look at some of those things that we found. But I don't think they're going to affect current management, and I think everything's going to be just fine.
Steve Jobs here to stay.
Well, I serve at the pleasure of the board and the shareholders, and as long as they want me, I'd love to keep doing this job.
Yeah, I think they want you.
So,
thanks very much.
Okay.
A candid and comfortable Steve Jobs, no question about it, basking in the glow of what promises to be Apple's next big red-hot product, but again, trying to make sure that that glow isn't eclipsed by this ongoing stock options backdating scandal. Maria, back to you.
Jim, thanks very much. We continue our discussion now on Steve Jobs and Apple Computer. Joining me now with their insight is Richard Stice. He's hardware equity analyst with Standard & Poor's. Lynn Turner, managing director of research at Glass Lewis. Gentlemen, nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the program. Give me your quick reaction to the iPhone and the impact on the stock in '07.
Sure. Well, in terms of the iPhone release, I think you look at it and the bar was set very, very high for this, and it even exceeded our expectations. It looks like truly a revolutionary product. It's now a touchscreen format. The buttons are gone. It's a very large screen. A lot of new technology and capabilities related to it. And in terms of what we're projecting, once it actually does come to market in June and in the subsequent 12-month period, we think it can add about 25 cents a share on an accretive basis, and that's assuming about a 50% rate of cannibalization with the standalone iPod device. Now, if they're able to do a little bit better than that and do about 15 million units, we think with the additional leverage that they have, you can add maybe 70 to 75 cents to the bottom line. So we think it's definitely a home run product for Apple.
Lynn, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't think the stock option scandal is going to impact this. At the end of the day, the earnings are going to be there. If Jobs is able to put out a better mousetrap when it comes to the cell phone, heck, all of us would probably like to have a better cell phone than what we have today. And if he's able to accomplish that, I think this company will continue to do very well.
What about the issue that is present in the market today, which is the fact that prices keep coming down? This is basically a commodity, right? The cell phone, everybody's competing for the same customer. How does that play into things?
Sure, well, I'll jump in on that. And I mean, if you look at what they did related to their Macs, actually in FY06, they actually saw ASPs rise modestly. So Apple has a certain, obviously, a coolness factor,